Cheryl Miller turns heads with strong message about Clark and Angel Reese. Cheryl Miller turns heads with strong message about Clark and Angel Reese. Originally appeared on Athlon Sports. When it comes to women's basketball, few voices carry more weight than the legendary Cheryl Miller, one of the greatest college athletes of all time during her career at USC. Unfortunately, after suffering a knee injury in the late 1986, Miller never had the opportunity to play in the WNBA, which wasn't established until 1996. Still, she has remained involved in the game in various capacities over the years, and she recently turned heads with her comments on one of the WNBA's most talked about storylines, the rivalry between Clark and Angel Reese. Clark and Reese have both had tremendous starts to their professional careers, but following a heated season-opening matchup between the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky, conversations around their rivalry and the reaction it sparks have intensified. While some fans have taken things to an extreme, Miller shared a strong, thoughtful message about both players during a recent appearance on the All Facts, No Breaks with Keyshawn Johnson podcast, where she spoke alongside fellow basketball icon Candace Parker. I understand the narratives and the storylines, but at some point, can we just focus on the fact that Caitlin is a baller? She's a dog. She wants to compete. The same goes for Angel. Her game is constantly evolving, as it should, and they both just want to win. That should be enough. I couldn't care less about what people say, as long as it doesn't define who they are. Keep it between the lines. Candace Parker and Cheryl Miller talk about the Angel vs. Caitlin debate. Fans reacted to Miller's comments. We've been told to respect the legends, right? Well, the legends have spoken. Let's see who's got a problem with it, a fan said. Another person posted, there is no debate. One is irrelevant and the other is the face of her generation. Someone else added, because I knew you all not mad at this Lamau. The debate truly began during their college days, when Clark started Iowa and Angel Reese led LSU to a national championship victory over Clark and the Hawkeyes. That rivalry carried into the pros, with Clark being selected No. 1 overall by the Fever in the 2024 WNBA draft and Reese going No. 7 to the Sky. Since entering the league, the two have been constantly compared, despite playing completely different positions, bringing distinct styles to the court, and excelling in their own unique ways. This story was originally reported by Athlon Sports on June 3, 2025, where it first appeared. In a bold moment that has set the basketball world abuzz, despite setting a record for the fastest woman, and legendary Hall of Famer Cheryl Miller took center stage recently, not with a no-look pass or a buzzer beater, but with words as powerful as any play she ever made on the court. During a recent roundtable on women's basketball, Miller delivered a passionate, head-turning message about the current media darlings and rivals, Clark and Angel Reese. And she didn't hold back. The hype is great, Miller began, her voice steady with conviction. But it's time we stop acting like these two young women are the story. They're a chapter, a very exciting one, but the whole book is so much deeper than that. The room fell quiet. You could practically hear the metaphorical microphone hovering above her as she spoke. Miller, a pioneer in women's sports and widely considered one of the greatest players to ever touch a basketball, had the attention of everyone, from sportscasters to fans to aspiring hoopers with posters of Clark and Reese on their bedroom walls. Her message, while deeply supportive of both players, was a reminder that the evolution of women's basketball didn't start in the 2020s, and it certainly won't end there, more than just a rivalry. To understand the weight of Miller's words, you need to grasp the cultural moment. Clark, with her Steph Curry-esque range and ice-cold composure, has become a symbol of sharp-shooting excellence. She brings in sold-out arenas and breaks records seemingly every game. Angel Reese, with her unapologetic swagger and fierce dominance in the paint, commands attention on and off the court. She's charisma, power, and passion wrapped into one unapologetic package. Together, they've formed a rivalry that's part sports, part social commentary, and part entertainment spectacle. And Cheryl Miller, she's here to zoom out. I love what Caitlin and Angel bring, Miller continued. They're confident, competitive, and they're not afraid of the spotlight. That's what we need. But we also need people to remember there's a whole league, a whole legacy, and a whole world of players fighting for recognition. A flashback with purpose for those too young to have seen Miller dominate in her USC days or torch teams during the 1984 Olympics. It's easy to forget that the road Clark and Reese walked today was paved by women like Cheryl Miller, Teresa Edwards, Lisa Leslie, Cheryl Swoops, and so many others. There were no primetime slots, no multi-million-dollar NIL deals, no shoe endorsements when we were coming up, Miller said. We had each other. We had love for the game, and we fought like hell to make people care. It's that fight, decades in the making, that makes Miller so protective of the game's integrity and future. She's thrilled to see the growth, but she also knows what's at stake if the sport becomes a popularity contest focused on just two faces. Women's basketball isn't just a headline, it's a movement, he said, and that movement has to include everyone. Elevating the whole game, Miller went on to praise players across the WNBA and college landscape. Aja Wilson's leadership, Breanna Stewart's versatility, Kelsey Plum's tenacity, Camila Cardoso's rise, Juju Watkins' potential. She name-dropped, not for clout, but for balance. The message was clear. The spotlight is big enough for everyone. If you only tune in when Caitlin hits a logo three, or Angel flexes after a block, you're missing 95% of the brilliance that this game offers, she said. That's like watching one scene of a movie and claiming to know the whole plot. Indeed, Miller's commentary isn't anti-hype, it's pro-perspective. She challenged broadcasters to diversify coverage. She urged fans to dig deeper, to watch more games, to learn more names. She called on young girls watching at home to emulate the drive, not just the drama. There's no Clark without the girls who stayed late after practice. No Angel Reese without the women who went undrafted but never gave up. Celebrate the stars, yes, but honor the grind. A message for the stars themselves. Miller also had a message specifically for Clark and Reese. And it wasn't scolding, but something closer to mentorship. You two have power. Use it wisely, she said. You're not just playing ball. You're shaping culture, inspiring generations, and setting a tone. Compete hard. Talk your talk. But know that you represent something way bigger than yourselves. In many ways, Miller's message wasn't about tearing down. It was about building up. Ensuring that the platform Clark and Reese stand on today becomes a foundation, not just a moment in time, that the rivalry becomes a gateway, not a gatekeeper.